Research demonstrates that there are three main things teams need to manage: the task, what outcome needs to be achieved; the process, how we're going to achieve the outcome; and the relationships, how we're going to work together as human beings. Failing to manage each of these three elements almost inevitably leads to conflict and reduced performance. There are three common traps that teams fall into. The most common trap is a tendency to focus immediately on the task, neglecting the process and relationships. This results in a flurry of activity, but it may well be the wrong activity. We fail to think about the relationships between the people in the room, which can result in interpersonal issues and complaints. I often see this trap during leadership programs. You can teach all the theory and techniques in the world, but it all goes out the window once there's a time-sensitive task to complete. People move straight to the task and ignore the process and relationships. The second most common trap is to become caught up with interpersonal issues and lose sight of the task and process. People end up avoiding the team, progress stalls, and a team often falls apart as people question what the purpose is of meeting in the first place. The third common trap is to focus so much on the process that we neglect the task and relationships. I see this frequently in projects where there's a huge amount of upfront consultation with little consideration of how to make decisions or deal with differing perspectives. We gather lots and lots of data, but we don't know what to do with it. The impact of conflict in task, process, and relationships in teams has varied between theories, with some frameworks encouraging conflict in these areas. However, research into over 6,000 teams suggests that task conflict, process conflict, and relationship conflict all negatively impact on team performance. The only exception is for decision-making teams where task conflict can sometimes have a small positive impact. Contrary to earlier theories, none of the three types of conflict reliably lead to innovation. No doubt you've heard of the team stages developed by Bruce Tuckman. In the model, he outlined teams getting together, being polite during the forming stage. We descend into disagreements and conflict during the storming stage as people seek clarity that isn't there yet. By agreeing standards and ways of working, we reach norming. And that as we combine the strengths of individuals with the strengths of process and relationships, we reach performing. Teams do indeed seem to follow these stages of development, except that storming can occur more frequently and at any point as the team is impacted by external forces. Conflict about task, process, and relationships doesn't get solved in one neat stage, but rather needs to be continuously monitored and managed. So, the research suggests we need to actively recognize, manage, and reduce task, process, and relationship conflict. We can't afford to ignore it or leave it unmanaged. Conflict is effectively a symptom that something needs to be addressed in one of these three areas. Here are some questions that might help for both new and established teams. Think about the task. What is our purpose as a team? What is the task we've been asked to achieve? What's the problem we're needing to solve? What can we uniquely contribute to the organisation? Around the process, how are we going to get there? What's the plan and order of activity? What's the division of workload and responsibilities? How are we going to make decisions? How are we going to measure our performance? How will we hold each other accountable? And how are we going to monitor and respond to changing needs and circumstances? And then relationships. What does each person bring to the team? What are the individual strengths and weaknesses? What experiences have we had that might be helpful? And what commitments are we making to each other? How will we provide feedback to each other? And how will we manage disagreements? Actively managing task, process, and relationships is a key part of any team's success. Why not undertake a quick audit of all three with the team that you lead?